Good evening and welcome to Gaming with Scott. I was asked to take a few minutes and discuss items that appear in the Marvel Universe that are strictly DC comic canon. Several years ago, there was a DC and Marvel crossover where the worlds collided and the superheroes from each were made to battle each other by a pair of galactic entities who were nigh on gods. It was brother versus brother, or sister versus sister, or yin versus yang, depending on how you looked at the comic book layout. They were depicted as two brothers who had decided to collide two worlds together to see which would survive. In the end, after this Marvel-DC crossover, there were, in my Marvel universe, several remnants or shadows, pieces from the DC universe that were left over. To name several of these entities, or echoes that were left over: Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Arrow. Those are two or three of my favorites starting out. Batman, obviously, because he's such a dynamic and dark character. Not the Batman from the television shows, but the Batman, the Dark Knight, as Bob Kane wrote him. I particularly like Batman. I don't know that our heroes will ever meet Batman, but it's nice to have him in the background because he tends to be such a popular character with the majority of comic book fans. I also am glad to have Superman in my world. Not that I enjoy Superman. I actually don't like him as a comic book hero at all. He seems to be far too two-dimensional for my likes. But with Superman comes his nemesis, Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is always a character that I've enjoyed just from his depth of being a bad guy. If I were to create a chairman of the board, I would be more than happy to include Lex Luthor along with the likes of Darth Vader, the Joker, some of the classic all-time villains. Lex Luthor would definitely be on the board. In our Marvel background, one of the characters has Lex Luthor as a contact. That would be Dr. Simon Wells. Apparently, in their history, Dr. Wells crossed paths with Mr. Luthor and was able to create a polymer that would act as a time-release capsule substance that would allow Lex Luthor to lace microscopic particles of kryptonite in suspension and feed to Superman in order to bring about Superman's death. This was not canon. It is something that I came up with on my own. And in my version of the Marvel Universe, the echoes of Lex Luthor and Superman have come to grips and come to battle. And Lex Luthor has actually killed Superman, a direct evidence of how much I dislike Superman as a comic book person. He is dead in my Marvel Universe at the hands of Lex Luthor, that was made possible by the scientific discoveries of one Dr. Simon Wells, played by Josh Elliott. That will unfold as the story moves forward, but I did want to point out that Lex Luthor, Superman, Batman, Green Arrow, The Flash, and Wonder Woman were all in my Marvel Universe as characters who may or may not be seen, just given the background. I believe that there are some elements of DC Comics that are done really, really well. I prefer to be more of a Marvel fan. But for those of you who are listening who are wondering, gee, why do we have Lex Luthor? What's going on there? There are some remnants from DC that I find that are absolutely enjoyable, and I think add a little bit more depth, a little bit more color, and add more shades of gray to the gameplay than the strict Marvel canon universe. Thank you very much for listening, and that'll do us tonight for Gaming with Scott. If you have any questions or if you'd like to reach out to us, our email is gamingwscott@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, GamingWScott. You can go over to the nerdsdom.com website, sign up for our newsletter on the right-hand side, or go to nerdsdom.com/nerdcasts, where you'll find all of the Nerds Domain podcasts. Thank you very much, and as always, you'll hear from us real soon. Bye-bye.